Hello, Slayers of Subluxation. This is Dr. Anthony from ChiroEdge and the Chiropractic Research Breakdown podcast. We've got another episode. We're going to do something a little bit different for you guys. As you've gotten to see, we've been mixing up the podcast a little bit over the last couple episodes to include some interviews that I've done other places, as well as interviews with the actual researcher of the article that I'm breaking down. I figured that as much as insight as I could give you on many articles, which I'll still continue to do so myself, but if I can get in contact with the researcher and get them on the podcast, they'll probably be able to deliver you guys even more value, and I'll get to learn a lot more too, so it's going to be good for everybody. But this is actually something that I've had requested, what we're going to do in this article, from many of the listeners here, and that is actually, I was able to get the audio from my talk on stage at the AMPED conference in Atlanta, Georgia last year. That was one of the most fun of any presentations that I ever had doing. I got super fired up. My team was fired up, and I hope that this gives you guys value. One thing that I wanted to mention was just something that I observed was that while I was on stage, and many in the audience know me because of my activity in AMPED in the Facebook group, as well as just in general knowing people really well, is that ChiroEdge has a booth at different AMPED conferences. If you listen to the talk, notice that not once, I mentioned the Chiropractic Research Breakdown podcast in its fledgling days, but not once do I mention my company or my service or how we provide materials to chiropractors to educate their community on an ongoing basis. Shameless plug there. Not once do I mention that, but what's actually really interesting is we've had about almost double the signups at that conference for our service that we've had at any other conference we've ever done. So even though I didn't mention it, obviously when you have authority and certainty, people are just going to be drawn to that. And I hope that if you listen to this podcast, one of the things that you seek to gain is certainty, so that when you communicate with your community, they know that you know. And I hope that that translates into a larger practice for you, not only serving you and your family better, but serving your community even better as well. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and cue the music. I hope you guys enjoy. Have a great week and slay some subluxations. Attention chiropractors, slayers of subluxation, unleashers of the imprisoned impulse. I am Dr. Anthony Pellegrino from ChiroEdge, and welcome to this week's episode of the Chiropractic Research Breakdown, where each week we break down the most relevant chiropractic science and philosophy to empower you with the ammo and certainty necessary to change your community from the inside out. All right, I'm super excited to geek out with you guys on chiropractic today. I just want to get a quick idea of who's in the audience today, so if you're excited for me to share with you some really, really boring stats, statistics, and figures, go and make some noise for me. This is awkward because I know that all of you are lying. You're lying, all right? I know that for a fact, and the reason I know that for a fact is because I actually run a podcast. It's called the Chiropractic Research Breakdown, and with a name like that, the Chiropractic Research Breakdown, I'm sure you guys are expecting them to be like a couple thousand followers, right? So I looked the other day, about 2 weeks ago, and I looked at the number of subscribers we had, and there was 32. So, right, like with a name like Research, I mean, that's kind of to be expected, right? You know, on the other hand, I went on the AMPED Facebook page, the doctor page. There's a team page, a doctor page, tons of value on there. And because I do like stats, I looked up the amount of times that people looked at research over the last 12 months. And it was 188 times people looked for research over the last 12 months, which means that myself and a few select others have been tagged in posts about once every 46 hours for the last 12 months, which my wife absolutely loves. All right? So we kind of say that, and we can joke about that, we can laugh about that, and I love to be there, and I love to help. But to be honest with you guys, I don't believe, and I hope you don't believe either, that research is simply there to persuade people of what we think. It's not. Right? It's not there to create sound bites like we've heard repeated in our profession for the last 40, 50 years. Things like chiropractic boosts immunity by 700%. What the heck does that mean? Right? Or chiropractic decreases labor times by 212.6%? Where did that come from? I don't know. What it is there to do is to increase our understanding. To increase our understanding and our certainty so that we can better deliver to our community. To take that understanding and to improve our systems, our procedures, our protocols, our techniques, so that we can continue to deliver to our community better each and every day. Each and every day. And to be honest with you guys, it doesn't take millions of research dollars or randomized control trials to actually prove. It doesn't. I mean, I'm all for that stuff and I love that stuff, but it doesn't take. Because the most beautiful thing about chiropractic is the fact that it is just simply, I'm not gonna stop yelling, so. It is most simply just basic science. It's 100% just basic science, alright? Now, the reason I say that is because if you know anybody, if you ever opened up an anatomy and physiology textbook, you know that our science and our philosophy is right there. The fact that the body is designed to heal from the inside out, that is not a thing. That is not a chiropractic thing. That's just simply basic science. All right? It's in every textbook that's ever been handed out in any chiropractic college. The fact that when the bones of the spine misalign, it not only puts tension on muscles, ligaments, and discs, and although there's an entire faction of our profession that would choose to say that chiropractic is that and stops there, it's not the case. Because if you turn the next page, what you'll see is that when those bones of the spine misalign, it literally interrupts the flow of information from the brain to the body. It interrupts and distorts the nervous system. The very same nervous system that controls and coordinates the function of every system in the entire body. Within the cervical spine, there are receptors that literally, when there's tension, will bombard the brain, the frontal cortex, with information and put us into a state of fight or flight. And that is right in the textbook. The same textbook that's handed out at Life University, at Sherman, at National, although they choose to endure entire sections there. The very same textbooks that are handed out at every undergraduate program, every medical school, every pharmaceutical school, every PT and OT school, it's all right there. So I want you to take that and know that any person that you meet in your community, no matter what their background is, whether they love you, whether they're a skeptic, whether they're analytical, whether they give you pushback at every opportunity, the fact is that if they've ever opened up a textbook in their entire life, they know what subluxation is, they know what the effect it has on the nervous system, and they know what effect that has on the body. They just might not know that they know. So a couple months ago, this guy Jim comes into my office. Jim's had quite an amazing life. All right, he played D1 football in college, suffered 3 concussions during that time. From there, he became a power lifter, and from there, he went into a super stressful profession. He's a special agent with the Federal Bureau. I don't really have too much information other than that, other than he's kind of like, he could beat me up. Why are you laughing? So, Jim kind of comes in, he comes in after that, and this guy, he's been suffering. So for the last couple of years, he's had headaches and migraines that he describes as debilitating, kind of crashing like waves inside of his head. He's slept on average about an hour to an hour and a half a night. He's developed TMJ, anxiety, IBS, all the different types of things that we get to see with that chronic subluxation, right? So he comes into the office, we start talking about things, and when we do our consultation, I think you guys probably do something similar. It's not just about getting the relevant information, like asking the questions, going through the paperwork, and getting the relevant information necessary to be able to deliver quality care. But what we want to do is find out like what his driving forces are. Why did he choose to come into the office in the first place? I mean, you've been suffering for years. Why now? Right? And other than the fact that his wife brought him in, one of the things we discovered was he has his wife and his girls, and they're completely his life. So we kind of look at it as, well, yeah, I mean, sure, this guy wants to be a better dad. He wants to be a better father. He wants to be, just be able to dance at his kid's wedding in 25 years, although I'm sure he's not really thinking about that at the moment. And one of the things as we start to ask questions, what we realize as well is that because of the type of job he has, one of his biggest fears is what happens if I have a headache or a migraine and I'm on a job and myself or my partner gets shot and we never get to see our family again. So I'm sure like you guys right now, I mean, at this moment you hear that, how excited are you guys to get your hands on this guy? Like, I am so excited to clear his body of subluxation and let it heal. So we kind of, before we have to get there, we have to address the fact that he's one of the most analytical and skeptical people that I've ever met in my entire life. And coming from me, that's something that's huge, right? So he's looked at every page on our entire website. He's looked at our blog. He's looked at Facebook. He's looked at YouTube. He's looked at TRT. He's seen everything that says this is amazing, totally do it. Other people have said this is completely snake oil. He's kind of just all over the place, doesn't know what to think, but he says the one thing that he has is hope. So we start getting taken care of, because I mean, hope's the one thing that we have. If we have that, we're good, right? So we start moving forward. He comes in after his first adjustment, 6 o'clock on a Monday, like office is buzzing, super high energy. He comes in and he's like, Doc, I gotta let you know, man. Like, I gotta let you know, I gotta know what's going on here. Like, I slept better than I have in months. My headache broke for the first time, and I really got to know, like, I understand, the body's going to heal. Like, you got to give me a little bit more. You got to give me a little more science. So I'm kind of cruising at this time, like I'm thinking about the Z list that we have going on. I just kind of give him my standard, like typical answer, kind of don't really connect with him the way I should. I'm like, yeah, man, like healing takes time and repetition, peaks and valleys, power that made the body, heals the body, blah, 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 blah. See you on Wednesday. And I kind of reflected on the end of the day. I was like, man, that didn't sit right with me. Like I knew he needed more than that. I did not give him what he deserved. I did not give him the information that he needed, that he wanted at that moment. So I kind of looked at the schedule. I was like, yes, he's coming in at a little bit of a slower time on Wednesday. So he comes in. I know already what to expect. He's like, Doc, can I talk to you for a couple minutes? I'm like, yeah, Jim, let's go. Pull him back to an assessment room. I'm like, what's going on, man? He's like, dude, I get it. Like, I know you tell everybody, like, the peaks and valleys and stuff like that, and I get it. But, like, I need to know, man. I'm on the phone with my college coaches. I'm telling them about the changes that I had. Like, I need to know more. Like, was sleeping better, but now I'm spending all night. I'm, like, reading through the internet, all the different research, and being like, now I'm not sleeping at all because I'm trying to see. People say it's fake. People say it's a placebo. Like, I don't care. I just want to figure it out, right? So I look at him like, Jim, I got to be honest with you, my man. And I gotta be honest with you and let you know that for the last 40 years of your life, you've been living life at less than your potential. For 40 years. You came into this world and we just like ripped you from mom, right? Other than going and honoring those amazing like natural processes that were both designed and evolved over thousands and thousands and thousands of years to lead you to where you are today. We just ripped you out of mom, right? And it's amazing that you're here with us today. But the fact is that trauma that happened, we never got that corrected. From there, we learned to walk, talk, ride a bike, play sports, and we learned that, Jim, using nature's greatest teacher, which is failure. When you fell, we learned to work, you got back right back up, and you started doing it again. When you fell off your bike, you jumped back on that bike, you started riding that again. And that's amazing, because that's what developed you into the amazing person that you are today. But, Jim, we never got that trauma corrected. You then went to college on a D1 scholarship, and you were good, man. You were so good that when you had your first, second, and your third concussions, we looked at it and they said, well, let's go ahead and make sure he can play again. So you got checked and cleared by the neurologist, but all they looked at was, hey, does he have a brain bleed that's going to kill him today, tomorrow, next week? And if they didn't see that, then we were good. We put you back in the game. But nobody ever thought, because we live our life with blinders on, to check this like semi-important structure that's attached to the head called the neck, right? Nobody ever thought to check that. Or say, hey, you know what? The brain sends messages out through the spinal cord and nerves to every organ, every cell, every tissue. Let's make sure that thing's doing all right, right? They never thought to look at the flow of cerebrospinal fluid, and we know, if we were to look at upright MRIs, that misalignments or subluxation of the spine, right, can actually restrict the flow of nutrients from your sacrum all the way up to your brain that is necessary to actually bring healing nutrients to the brain to allow you to properly recover. Now, medical doctors, not chiropractors, but medical doctors, have actually seen that majority of MS cases that this actually happened an average of 7 years prior, and actually recommend chiropractic care for people with MS because they can see the actual mechanism. And it seems to me, especially when you describe to me these pulsing, crashing waves within your head, it seems to me that maybe this was something that happened, right? And from there, we have these misalignments putting tension on these mechanoreceptors that are bombarding your frontal cortex with information each and every day. So when you go home at the end of the day, your body's not like, oh, good, we're chilling now. It's saying, Jim, help me, man. Help me. I'm in the wrong place. What are we going to do about it? And then after these 25 years of physical, of chemical, emotional abuse that you put onto your body, you didn't decide to go for a 10-year yoga retreat. What you said was, what is literally the most stressful position that I could possibly get in and put my life on the line every single day? So you go to work and literally your body has to be at 100% because you have to be at flight or flight every moment of the day. Otherwise, you're gonna die, right? So you have to be on there each and every day. And then you wonder at the end of the day while you go home and you can't relax and you can't sleep and you have these headaches, these migraines, this TMJ, and this anxiety because you don't just get to leave work and come home to your girls and be like, yeah, this is awesome. Because inside your body is screaming for help. So when I hear this and I think about the amount of trauma that your body's been through, my question isn't why have we been experiencing this? My answer is, of course. Of course we've had these migraines. Of course we can't sleep at night. Of course we have this anxiety. Of course we're just stressed out all the time. Of course. Now, Jim, at a chiropractic conference I was at a couple years ago, this awesome guy named Ronnie Doss. Anybody ever heard of him before? So he had this quote that I kept with me since, and it said, in life, stability is an illusion. You're either growing or you're decaying. And I held that with me so much because that was a good business and life principle. But I mean, our health is the same way, right? We're either growing or we're decaying. And when I hear this story, what I think about is it doesn't seem like we've been doing so much growth. It kind of seems like we've been going in the opposite direction. So when we look at this and our whole past and the fact that every person we've ever interacted with has never gotten 100% of our best, it's because you've never given you 100% of your best. And now for the first time in 40-something years, Jim, you're getting the root cause of that problem corrected instead of just continuing to treat the symptoms. You're starting to allow the proper flow of that cerebrospinal fluid. You're starting to take tension off those nerves, take tension off those mechanoreceptors that are screaming up help to my brain every second of every day. And you're letting your body heal. Because when we talk about things like fight or flight, right, you know what the opposite is there? Is it's rest, and it's digest, and it's heal. And you can't be in both at the same time. You can only be one or another. So when I look at this, I literally get to see this and say, Jim, for the first time in 40-something years, your body's healing. And it's awesome. And it's the way it was designed to. It's growing, it's developing and flourishing. This is literally what you were designed for, Jim. And I'm so excited. So when you come to me, Jim, and you ask me why your body is going through these changes, my question isn't why, my answer is of course. Right? Of course your migraines are improving. Of course your health is improving. Of course you're sleeping better at night. Of course you have a better attitude during the day. Of course you find yourself being a better husband, a better father, a better employee, a better coworker, right? A better person, because this is what you were designed for. It's basic science, and that's it. Now, it would have been so easy to look at this, guys, and just when the first time he said, I need to know more, hand the dude a testimonial and be like, hey, man, other people have gotten good results with migraines. You are too, right? And because there was so much hope, that probably would have worked for a little bit. But guess what? The second those migraines took an extra week or two to heal, he's gone, right? And I thought I was going to do better than now, I'm gone. Or, on the opposite end of the spectrum, the second that his migraines did get better and stayed that way for a week or two, he's like, boom, why am I going to keep coming? I'm healed, doc. This is awesome. And both of those have done him a disservice. Would you guys agree? So what I believe is that the better we understand things, the more we can create bridges with people, right? The more we understand the science behind subluxation, understand how it affects the nervous system and how it affects each and every day of our life, the better we can actually connect with people and help them move forward in the future, all right? So I actually got fired up and didn't look at any of these slides. So what we can actually do... We can begin to create these bridges, right? We can begin to measure the effects on the nervous system. We can actually go ahead and look and use tools like the Insight. Look at things like the thermal, which actually measures the activity of the autonomic system. Looking for things like tension in the nervous system that relates to every organ, every cell, every tissue. So we're not just saying, hey, you know what? You have a question about digestive issues? Well, why don't we just go ahead and look and measure, see where do we have interference? Where is that going? And it's not, hey, can chiropractic help with this in other people? It's how can we help with you? Right? We can use tools like the SEMG to look at muscle spasms. And we can look at it and say, you know what? Well, yeah, of course you have pain. There's some muscle spasms here. Or we can literally look at it and say, this is both the quality and the quantity of information that is being transmitted from your body up to your brain every single moment of every single day. So when we look at it and see that your body is being bombarded with information all the time, the fact that you have this anxiety, you have these symptoms, you have these issues, you have less than this proper quality of life, we're not just saying that chiropractic can help. We know. We can use tools like the HRV that literally measure at this given moment with somebody sitting in a calm room. Are we in fight or flight or sympathetic nervous system stress, or are we in rest and digest and heal, which is parasympathetic? And we can look at these two different things and say, yes, on day one, your body is go, 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 go. But at month 1, month 2, month 3, it's in a state of healing. And our goal is going to now be to continue and keep it here. Right? We can look at these things. We can look at things like that upright MRI we talked about, looking at the flow of cerebrospinal fluid and how that relates to issues like MS, headaches, migraines. Because the amazing thing is, remember how I mentioned that this is basic science? Well, there are other professions, they use these tools as well. And when they use these tools, it means that we can actually go ahead and we can look at their research. We can look at how that the improvements in the nervous system relate to anything from Meniere's to ear infections, to metastasis of cancer, to digestive issues like IBS, reflux, constipation, to infertility. We can look at how the improvements in the nervous system actually affect each of these. So when you go back to your community and you say, you know what? It doesn't matter what symptom you have, your body's going to function better without nerve interference than with it. When we look at the science, the fact is that that is not a soundbite. That is not a soundbite. That is basic science. And that is all. So take that and know when you go back to your community and you go out and you tell people that every man, every woman, every child on this planet needs to be checked for vertebral subluxation and adjusted when necessary. You're not crazy to go ahead and say that. Science says you're only crazy not to. Thank you.